Wilson here, independent licensed mechanic, 30 years of experience. In the next 6 to 7 minutes, I'm going to show you the inside story on this 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee, so you can make yourself an informed decision. Now, coming in on the front left tire, you've got about 30% tread, definitely down. Not totally out, but definitely down on your tread. Coming behind the front left tire, first thing I want to point out, brakes, you got about 20,000 K left on your brakes. So about midway point on your brakes, down, but definitely not out. This is your outer CV boot. Now, it's full of grease, and if it was ripped, you'd see grease all over the place. So that's not important. It's not because it keeps the axle lubricated. Now, this is your left lower ball joint. Critical that this is tight, because this is what holds the wheel to the chassis, and it is tight. This is your left outer tie rod. Now, this is the most important thing in the car, this left and right, because this is the only thing that holds the wheel to the steering end. That is tight. This is your left sway bar link connected from here up to there, and that is intact, and that's important because it dampens the sway when you go around the corner. Now, the inner CV boot, a little harder to see, but see for yourself, good and dry. More importantly, look behind it. That's a leak point. If it was going to leak, you see oil all over there. So far, no leaks that I see. Yeah, now, and then coming across just another, this is the back of the motor, back at the bottom of the motor. This is the drive shaft that comes out to the rear. And if you see yourself, good and dry. Important, because that's another leak point right there if it's going to leak. Now, this in the bottom of the transmission right here, good and dry. Nobody wants leaks on their driveway. Bottom of the oil pan here, good and dry. This is the bottom of your diff. This is your differential. Again, good and dry. So I'm not seeing any issues with leaks on this so far. So on the right side, again, tires definitely down to about 30% tread. Want to be thinking about getting them swapped up. The right lower ball joint, this is tight. Right outer CV boot, good and dry. Right brakes about 20,000 K. The right sway bar link connected from here up to there, intact, doing its job, and the right outer tie rod is tight. The right inner CV boot, a little harder to see, but I'll get a shot here if I can. You can see for yourself. Yeah, a little harder to see here, but good and dry, because you'd see it. You would see oil all over the place there, and I am not seeing any indication of leaks. So brake-wise, suspension-wise, and leak-wise, I'm not seeing any issues. Front tire is definitely down. Now, following down, this is part of your exhaust here, and there's nothing wrong with it. Big problem is that people think it's the catalytic converter reaching under and going cut, and then finding out, oh, they got nothing. But now you've got yourself a $1,000 repair. So if you buy the vehicle, I'm going to install a free catalytic theft protection system on this, stop that from happening, and just prevent that from being an issue. That's if you buy, it doesn't cost. Just simply contact me. It takes me 20 minutes, and you'll be in and out the door. Now, coming back to the right rear tire, right rear tire definitely down. Okay, you're 100% you need 4 tires in this car. The right rear suspension, this is your spring suspension on the right rear, intact, doing its job. This is the right sway bar link connected from here to here, intact, doing its job. The right outer CV boot, good and dry. Right inner CV boot, good and dry. More importantly, right here at the rear diff is a leak point. If it was going to leak, you'd see oil all along here, good and dry. Another leak point would be right here where the drive shaft comes into the diff, good and dry. So, yeah, I'm not seeing any issue on the right rear side, and leak suspension wise. Oh, and brakes on your rear brakes here, you've got about, I'm going to say, about 10,000 K. Not as much brakes on the rear as you have on the front. So down, but definitely not out. Coming across to the right, to the left rear tire, again, definitely tires worn out. The left rear suspension intact, no cracks, no breaks. The sway bar link connected from here to here, important. Brakes about 10,000 K on your rear brakes. So your outer, now the left sway, the left CV, okay, coming out of here, another leak point. If it was going to leak right there, but it's good and dry. CV boot, good and dry. Outer CV boot on the left side, good and dry. So Brake-wise, leak-wise, suspension-wise, no issues. Definitely needing 4 tires. Okay, this is the left rear shock. These shocks are full of oil. If it was leaking, you'd see it dripping all the way down here, and that is good and dry. So no issues with your left rear shock. This is your right rear shock, same thing, full of oil. If it was leaking, you'd see it dripping all the way down here, good and dry. This is your left rear strut. Now the spring suspension is intact. More importantly, these are full of oil, and if it was leaking, you'd see it all inside here. You would see for yourself, good and dry, because it's full of oil, and that is not leaking. So in the left front side, suspension and no leakage. The right front strut, same thing, spring suspension intact. And again, if it was leaking, you see it leaking all the way down here. You see oil and glistening, or even all the way down here, you see it, but it's not leaking, good and dry. Okay, 66,853K, no check engine lights, low washer fluid. Other than that, no warning lights or check engine lights that I can see. Now I'm going to take you out and shot of the dash here, very clean. Take you out and show you condition of the motor. Okay, with the motor running. Okay, with a shot of the exhaust from the motor running, very, very clean. Now something I always do is I take the oil cap and I look underneath for any kind of indication of white goo, which would be an indication of an internal leak of antifreeze and oil, which is a big problem, and I am not seeing any indication of it at all. In fact, I'm not hearing any indication of any problem with this motor. It's running very smoothly, and as far as I can tell, this vehicle has been well maintained. So hopefully, other than 4 tires, I don't see any issues on this vehicle, at least. So hopefully this will help you make an informed decision. And remember, if you buy the vehicle, contact me, because not only will I put a free catalytic theft protection system on, I'll also put on a 10% fuel saving device that I've used for 20 years, and this will cost you nothing, my friend. In and out the door, and you're saving fuel, and your cat's not getting stolen, which is a good thing. Have a good one.